Hello and welcome back to my crystal collection video series where I'll be going over my crystal collection. I already have parts 1 through 9 out as we speak, and we're just moving on with the rest of the specimens today in this video, starting with letter D because I'm going through them by alphabetical order. So letters D to H. So let's not waste any time, let's get right into it. The first specimen I have to show you is this dioptase on quartz specimen. Dioptase is a soft mineral, so usually you don't see them cut into gemstones, but they are very, very gemmy. It's a very, very gemmy crystal. It's always this sort of vibrant green. It's not dyed. This is its natural color. Sometimes it's got a little bit more of a blue tint, but essentially it's always about the same colored hue, this beautiful green. And like I said, it's usually not cut into gemstones, even if it's gemmy, simply because of the softness of the crystal, since it only lands at a Mohs 5 on the, Mohs scale. So, yeah, very beautiful. Can be a little bit pricey, but definitely worth it. And if you can find bigger crystals than this, definitely worth it, because they are out there. But yeah, might be small little crystals on this quartz, but still worth it. Definitely glad to have it in my collection. Up next, I have this epidote with quartz growth specimen. So this particular epidote comes out of Turkey and is sometimes referred to as forest epidote. I'm guessing just because of the way it looks. It kind of looks like valleys and crevices, I don't know, and that has been forested, that has lots of forest, lots of trees or something like that. I don't know. It's just a marketing term, not an official term. But one of the staples of this type of epidote that's coming out of Turkey is the fact that it has these quartz inclusions and growth. As you can see, there's like a bunch of small, tiny, sparkly quartz everywhere, and they even boast some really nice rainbows. Like, it's really, really high quality quartz embedded in these, and it's just really pretty. I love epidote. Epidote's kind of common, but still a great crystal. And then up next I have this erythrite specimen. Due to the color of the crystal, it's what informs the name of it, right? So erythrite in Greek means red. I think the thrite part of it, or I think maybe it's called ethros. That's the Greek word for red. Anyways, yeah, it means red because this is the color it comes in, and it's due to, I think, cobalt inclusions, kind of like cobaltyl calcite goes this vibrant pink. Well, the erythrite is this red because this wine red due to the cobalt inclusions within the mineral. And you don't find many big crystals out there. It's usually very, very small. This one actually has nice elongated crystals, like here and actually at the bottom of it, considering the amount of large crystals found in the wild out there. It's not very common. Usually it comes with this more druzy aspect, but very pretty. And next I have this fire quartz specimen, which if you've seen my other videos, that you've seen my fire quartz carvings. Well, this is its specimen, so this is it in its raw form. And yeah, so the reason why I picked this up was, well, it was a good price. That's one. And another reason why I picked this up is because it looked like a flame, looked like fire. I just thought it looked cool. So, and it is cool. Fire quartz doesn't come in sort of like huge crystals, not like a clear quartz or smoky quartz where you sometimes get actual crystals, like defined crystals. It's more globular, rock-like, kind of like how most rose quartz is. So it doesn't come in distinct, very, obvious crystals. It's more globular, like a rock. Up next is this fluorite specimen A. So quite small. This was a crystal or whatever that I got in sort of the beginning of my crystal collection journey. It was actually a gift by my kid for Christmas. And as I said, it just started collecting crystals, so he got me this. But as well, he got me this other fluorite specimen, Specimen B. So yeah, he got these two together for me, which is just cute. And I think everyone knows what fluorite is. It's a very, very common mineral that lots of people have in their collections if they even collect. Even if they only have one or two, most likely one of them is fluorite, at least a carving, right? Because it's just that common. And it's a mineral that's found in hydrothermal veins, especially those containing lead and zinc minerals. And it's also found in some greisens, granites, pegmatites, and high temperature veins. And also as a component of some marbles and other metamorphic rocks. The term fluorescence is derived from fluorite, which will often showcase this sort of fluorescence effect. The element fluorine also derives its name from fluorite, which is a major source of the element. So, of course, that's not all. I have also this fluorite specimen C. So this type of fluorite is more globular, right? It's not so defined in cubes. And usually when you come across that kind of, or that type of fluorite, where it's not so visually appealing to most, they usually carve it. I liked this raw, so I picked it up because even though it's not really well formed crystals, it's interesting, and I like the fact that it kind of has this, really textured sheen to it. But yeah, usually when you come across, or when miners come across this type of fluorite, they usually just carve it down and sand it and polish it up for the market. But I'm glad I have a piece that's, raw, in its raw form. I still think it's pretty. And to counteract that, I have fluorite specimen D, which is very much cubed and, etched quite nicely and is quite a big piece. And I absolutely love the color. It's got this sort of bluish tint to it, but also because of the matrix that it was on, it kind of, has a gradient color to it as well from that, as you can see here. And I just love the shape of this. I mean, it's just so cool. Like all the little steps and stuff and these cubic mountains. I mean, the shape is just awesome. So I definitely picked this up because of it, because just look at that. That's just amazing. And I love how it just sort of gleams and shines, and I think it's really, really pretty. Then I have this other fluorite specimen. This is my fluorite with petroleum inclusion specimen, sometimes referred to as galaxy fluorites, a marketing term, and there's a good reason for that because of the effect of fluorescence. So my blacklight and my camera absolutely is terrible for this, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to get it so that you can see what I'm talking about. So hopefully it's visible, but as you can see, because of the fluorite, you've got this beautiful blue fluorescence occurring. But not only that, because of the petroleum inclusions, you have this sort of lighter yellow tint to it, where it makes it looks like the stars, basically, like the galaxy, hence the name. So hopefully it's coming up for you. Hard to tell at this point, but if you can't really see that, it's there. It just, again, like I said, I got really bad equipment for all this, but what are you gonna do? That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Hopefully I'll be able to update my blacklight soon at some point. Probably not my phone camera, because that's what I'm using to film on, because that's a little bit more of an investment. And yeah, I need that money for more crystals and to buy more crystal displays to actually put my crystals on. So yeah. but that is my galaxy fluorite. And if you thought that we'd be done the fluorite by now, you'd be wrong, because I have more fluorite. So this is my fluorite on quartz specimen. So this is a nice big chunker of a piece, and I love the tiny blue, or not blue, tiny purple cubic forms of the fluorites, where you even have some pink areas where it's just a little bit of a subtle change of color. And I love this piece. It's very sparkly because of the quartz. Even the matrix is all sparkly at points. And not only that, there's parts within this matrix that are like opening up like a mouth and just sort of spilling some cubic fluorite out, which I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, this one comes from Spain, by the way, this piece. And it's just really pretty and definitely kind of a statement piece. And next, I swear this is my last fluorite specimen, at least for this video. I have this fluorite on quartz with calcite and siderite growth specimen. So this fluorite is this vibrant yellow, this really pretty gemmy yellow, and I absolutely love it. It's a very small specimen, but I just love these cubic yellow fluorites. And we have it on quartz, obviously, but the calcite is actually just this sort of white glob here. It's nothing to scream home about, right? It's kind of just sort of crusted on there a little bit. And then we also have, though, this siderite, which is this little tiny mass right here. It's kind of got this sort of golden shimmer to it, and that's what siderite usually comes in. It's usually like a yellowish brown tan crystal. But the interesting thing about siderite is it comes about through biomineralization. So it was formed from fungi that have oxidized iron to produce its siderite, right? So it is actually a form of biomineralization from mushrooms, essentially, I guess, fungi. So that's interesting, I think. But yeah, so just a little tiny, pretty piece. So we're finally going to move away from fluorite for a bit, at least for this video. And we're going to move on to this galena specimen. So galena is really interesting. So it's obviously a metallic mineral. And it is the primary ore mineral of lead. And it has been worked on like for centuries. Like I think it's like 3000 BC since it's been worked on, due to the fact that it has components of silver within it. So yeah, it's very soft material. It only lands at like a 2.5 on the Mohs scale of hardness, and usually is found in ore veins alongside sphalerite, pyrite, chalcopyrite, and some other minerals. If you recall my last video, I showed off my chalcopyrite with galena inclusions. So there you are. It happens. And yeah, it's so interesting. Like, it reminds me of something very sci-fi. Just the whole growth and shape of it and the metallic sort of sheen that it gives off. Like, doesn't it look like it came from a meteorite or like a broken piece off of a spaceship of some sort, like an alien spaceship? Like, it just gives me that sci-fi feel, the sci-fi vibe. Next, I have this halite specimen A. So, what is halite? Well, it's essentially natural sodium chloride. So, rock salts, but a natural occurring sort of rock salt. And it occurs due to saline lakes, and the evaporation process causes the halite deposits, right? So once a saline lake starts to dry up, the salted aspect of those lakes become informed into these crystals as it evaporates. And so that's pretty cool. It comes in a variety of colors such as blue, green, pink, white, clear, and this is obviously pink. The pink is due to nanobacterial particles that have been caught up within that evaporation process as the crystal was forming. So I also have this halite specimen B, but this time it's white. That's because it doesn't have those nanoparticles in it to create that sort of color. Halite isn't just from evaporated saline lakes. It also can be embedded in sedimentary deposits within, rocks, right? So that occurs as well, but it does look quite different. And I have something here that will showcase that. That is this halite with paratachyte inclusion specimen. So this one isn't from saline lakes. It's mostly due to certain water flows within the sedimentary rocks. And so it forms like that. That's why you have sort of this different shape, whereas the evaporated saline formation shows almost like a shape of halls, the cough drops, where it's sort of hollowed out and from the inside, but like is sort of shaped on the surrounding outer skirts of that crystal, right? It's like a Hall's candy. This, however, the sedimentary deposits is like more cubic and usually is just white, or not white, but clear, like ice, except when it has different mineral deposits, such as the paratachyte, right? And that causes this beautiful, vibrant green apple color. And I absolutely love it because of the color is just so vibrant and juicy. And the clear parts just look like ice. Like it's just so clear and just sort of icy looking. So yeah, just found that really interesting. And so yeah, I picked them up. So the next specimen I have here is this hemimorphite with memetite specimen. So let's first discuss the hemimorphite. So the hemimorphite is this beautiful sort of grayish crystal here, the sparkly stuff. And yeah, it's usually blue or this sort of pale gray color, but it can sometimes be pink. And in this case, it's actually stained a little bit brown because of the matrix rock that it's on. And yeah, really beautiful crystal. Sometimes it can be mistaken for smithsonite when it's, blue. In a particular, it's coated in a very small, minuscule crystallized way. Then it sort of resembles smithsonite. So sometimes it can be confusing to decipher which is which. But not in this case, because this one's got some really clear, defined crystals to it. And yeah, really pretty. Then we have the memetite. So memetite is a secondary mineral found in the oxidized zones of lead deposits. Usually found as small hexagonal prisms, but often sort of almost like a botryoidal look to it. And that's what you see here, the botryoidal look. And it's usually just sort of sprinkled around different minerals. That's how it usually comes about. And yeah, it only really forms in the color of yellow. So it can be very pale yellow to an almost white, to this sort of regular taxi color yellow, to like a darker yellow brown, to a yellow orange. And yeah, so, but it's always some variation of yellow. And yeah. Now the next specimen is also hemimorphite, but a little bit different. So this is my hemimorphite with veseliite specimen. So as you can see here, it's quite different, or it looks quite different from the first specimen I showed with the hemimorphite. This one's more blue, and it's very thinly sort of dispersed. And this is when it tends to get a little bit confusing to tell the difference between this and smithsonite. And it's a beautiful blue, but I just want to point out something. So be very wary if you're purchasing hemimorphite if it's blue and coming out of Mexico. And I'll show on screen what it looks like. So Mexico has been known to try to dye their hemimorphite so that it is that sort of vibrant blue like this, but it has been proven to be dyed that color, so it's not a natural occurring color in the case of the Mexican specimens coming out of Mexico. This one's not. This one comes out of Africa, out of the Congo, so definitely natural for the Congo, right? The hemimorphite there usually is this, or can be this vibrant blue. And it's alongside Veseliite. Sorry, Veseliite. It's a hard one to pronounce, but yeah, Veseliite is a very, very, very rare crystal. You probably will not see it on the market because of that. Unless you'll find it if you want to search for it in particular and really sort of laser focus in your search for that, because usually what happens is that when Veseliite is found, it is sold from the mines to, collectors and stuff like that, because it's so rare. You're not going to have like a lot of this material, of this mineral being sold to sellers who will then sell it off, right? There's no middleman anymore when it comes to Veseliite because of just the rarity of it, right? And it's a super deep, lovely blue, and yeah, just really lucky to be able to stumble across this one. Yeah, I got this in a private auction, so yeah, that's the reason why I was able to even find it myself. And it is expensive, so just be forewarned about that as well. Moving on to this Hollandite specimen. So this is interesting in particular because it was sold to me as Creedite. It's not Creedite, it is Hollandite. And I noticed that the crystals, when I got it, I noticed that the crystals did not form the way that Creedite would form. It was something else, this triangular shape, right? That's not what Creedite looks like up close. But I could see where it was mistaken as Creedite, and I'm not really too bothered by it because this was in consignment, so I got this pre-owned. So the shop that sold it probably was told that that's what it was by the owner. So it happened, not that big of a deal, but definitely is not Creedite, it's Hollandite. Due to the structure, you could tell the difference. But I didn't have any Hollandite, so that's fine by me. Now I do. And I can always get Creedite some other time. But yeah, it's this beautiful orange color, kind of like creamsicle. Hollandite's part of the zeolite family, alongside other minerals like stilbite. So yeah, not an uncommon type of crystal, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's really pretty. And with that, we are now at my very last specimen of this video. And with that is going to be this hyalite opal with smoky quartz growth specimen. So if I turn this around, you can see the quartz right here, the smoky quartz. So it's just a little bit. So if you watched my carved videos, I showed my pink opal, the freeform, where it looks really different from what I have here. It is definitely a different variety of opal. There are different varieties of opal. There's the one that most people think about when they hear opal, which is more, it showcases the opalescence, right? Then you have other ones where it's more milky and smooth sort of look to it. And that's a different type of opal. And then there's this, which is the hyalite opal. And it comes in sort of this globular sort of mass, this botryoidal globular mass. And for the most part, usually it's actually clear. It doesn't really have a color to it. This one though, this variety, this yellow, this brilliant yellow one, comes out of Namibia. And it's a much more sought after, much more expensive type and variety of hyalite opal. But either way, either one, they react to UV light. And I will show it to you because you definitely will notice because of the brightness of hyalite opal when it's, shone with a black light. And yeah, see that? Boo, pop of color. This one, and no matter how bad of a UV blacklight I might have, it doesn't matter. It will definitely highlight because it even looks almost highlighted without it. That's how bright and vibrant the color already is within it. So yeah, it definitely gives off a really big fluorescence, and it's just beautiful. I love it. Really cool. And yeah, so this type of opal forms as crusts in volcanic and pygmatic environments where the silica deposits from the gas phase. And the reason why it has this sort of globular sort of look to it is because there's a lot of water actually mixed with the composition, which is interesting. And so you've got, yeah, it's basically an amorphous silica glass with, I think, up to like 10% water in the structure, like 3 to 10 or 3 to 8 or something like that, like, which is actually a lot of water that you don't really find in other crystals as a composition material, but it is in this case when it comes to the hyalite opal. And that is all for now. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you learned something, maybe found something that you haven't seen before in this section of my collection. And I will be posting part 11 soon, so be on the lookout for that. But anyways, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye!